So now that we've tackled the just x squared plus bx idea, now let's add the constant. The x squared plus bx plus c. I think the easiest way to demonstrate this is to just do a general case. So we are going to multiply x plus p times x plus q. P and q could be anything. We're just going to distribute this out. So this might look kind of interesting. I'm taking, x times x. Okay, so I multiply x times x. So here, let's just go ahead and write that out. X times x plus x times q plus, now let's multiply p. So now we'll have p times x plus p times q. All right, so let's go ahead and let's put together some like terms here. X times x, that's x to the second. Plus, if you notice these two is p times x plus q times x, I'm just doing alphabetical order, plus p times q. So if you notice, this first term is x squared, like we want x squared. Okay, so there's my x squared. So x squared, x squared. The last term, I'm just going to go ahead and jump to the last term, is the p times the q. So there's my last term, p times q. And now this middle term, both of these have x's on them. They make up the thing with just the x on it. Okay, we're going to now use this pattern to help us factor. So if I have something of the form x squared, again, leading coefficient of 1, nothing in front of here. To figure out what multiplies, to get there, I look at, well, what multiplies to give me the last term? Because notice that p and that q, p and q are just multiplied to give me c. So this p and this q are factors. These are factors of c. C factors of that c. Okay. And then the middle term comes from adding the sum of those factors. The sum of those factors gives me that middle term, that b. Because again, it comes from the px plus qx, the p and the q. So we're going to be using this process backwards. Instead of knowing what multiplies, we know the product, and from that product, we want to get to the factors. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's see what one looks like, and I'll kind of walk through the process. Okay, I do mine slightly different than the textbook. The textbook uses like a table, kind of to list them all out, which I kind of do, but do it a little different. Okay, so first we're going to look at, so we want to, suppose you want to write x squared plus 8x plus 12 in the factored form, x plus p times x plus q. So the first thing I want to do is notice that my leading coefficient here is 1, which it is. Leading coefficient of 1. If it doesn't have a leading coefficient of 1, this method doesn't work. Okay. So now that I know the leading coefficient of 1, and it's in standard form, so it's in standard form. It's in standard form. If it's not in standard form, you need to get it to standard form. We can't factor unless it is. It's in standard form. Check. The leading coefficient is 1. I'm now going to list the factors of 12. So the factors of what we call the constant. Okay, so if I'm going to list the factors of the constant, 1 and 12, I always start with 1, because you can use a 1 and 12 in this case. 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. And then now what I'm looking for is, okay, so these are my possibilities. Meaning, this could factor into x plus 1, x plus 12, x plus 2, x plus 6, x plus 3, or x plus 4. Okay, it could factor into, these are the possibilities. Okay, so these are there's a possibility. These are the possibilities. Okay, now for me to decide which one works, I could list all the possibilities out and multiply, distribute, to see which one actually gets me back to here. Basically, I know all of these are going to give me an x squared for the first term. And all of these are going to give me a 12 for the last term. I'm double checking the middle term. I'm trying to get to 8x from there in the middle. Okay, so I can check them all out, but we know from this pattern up here that middle term just comes from the product, from the sum, adding these two numbers. So I can look at, well, let's go ahead and let's add these. If I add 1 plus 12, does that give me 8? No. 2 plus 6? Oh, that one does. 3 plus 4? No. So 2 plus 6 works. So that tells me that this is going to factor into x plus 2, x plus 6. I always then like to check my work off to the side and distribute this bad boy out. X times x is x to the second. X times 6 is 6x plus 2 times x is 2x plus 2 times 6 plus 12. I end up with x squared. These two will add 2 plus 8x plus 12. Yay, I found it. So we want to factor it, meaning these are the two things I multiply. The two factors are x plus 2 and x plus 6. Those whole things are the factors.